The morning sun had barely risen when Miss Beatrice Thornwell dropped the china teacup. It shattered on the marble floor of the drawing room. The sound echoed through the silent house like a gunshot. "You clumsy fool!" Her stepmother's voice cut through the air. Lady Thornwell rose from her chair, her face twisted with anger. "That was my mother's favorite tea set." Beatrice knelt quickly. Her hands trembled as she gathered the broken pieces. A sharp edge cut her palm. Blood dripped onto the white porcelain. She did not cry out. "I am sorry, Mother," Beatrice whispered. She kept her eyes down. "It slipped from my hands." "Of course it did." Lady Thornwell's voice dripped with disgust. "You cannot do anything right, just like your father. Useless, the both of you." Beatrice's father had died 2 years ago. He left them with debts and shame. Lady Thornwell never forgave him. She never forgave Beatrice for looking like him. "Clean this mess," Lady Thornwell commanded. "Then go to the market. Cook needs vegetables for dinner. And do not dawdle. I will not have you wandering the streets like a common beggar." Beatrice nodded. She wrapped the broken pieces in her apron. Her cut hand stung. She stood and curtsied. Lady Thornwell had already turned away. In the kitchen, Beatrice washed her hands. The cold water made the cut burn worse. Mrs. Davies, the cook, clicked her tongue. "Let me see that, dear," Mrs. Davies said. She was the only kind person in the house. She wrapped Beatrice's hand with clean cloth. "You must be more careful." "I will try," Beatrice said softly. "Your stepmother works you too hard," Mrs. Davies muttered. "A young lady should not be doing servant's work." But Beatrice was not treated like a lady. Not anymore. Lady Thornwell had 2 daughters of her own. Victoria and Penelope were beautiful. They wore fine dresses and attended parties. Beatrice wore old clothes and did the shopping. She mended the linens. She helped in the kitchen. She was treated like a servant in her own father's house. "Here is the shopping list," Mrs. Davies said. She pressed coins into Beatrice's good hand. "Buy yourself something sweet. You deserve a small kindness." Beatrice smiled. It was a rare thing these days. "Thank you, Mrs. Davies." She walked to the market with a basket on her arm. The morning air was cool. London was waking up around her. Fine carriages rolled past. Ladies in beautiful gowns stepped from shop to shop. Beatrice kept her head down. She did not want anyone to see her. She did not want questions about why Lord Thornwell's daughter was buying vegetables. At the market, she bought carrots and potatoes. She bought fresh bread and butter. She counted every coin carefully. Lady Thornwell would check the amounts. She always did. Beatrice finished her shopping early. She had a few extra minutes before she needed to return. She stood by the fountain in the square. She watched the water dance in the sunlight. For just a moment, she let herself remember better days. Days when her father was alive. Days when she was loved. "Excuse me, miss." Beatrice turned. A gentleman stood beside her. He was tall and well-dressed. His dark hair was neat under his hat. His eyes were an unusual shade of gray, like storm clouds. "Yes, sir?" Beatrice asked. She clutched her basket tighter. "You dropped this." He held out a handkerchief. It was hers. It must have fallen from her pocket. "Oh." Beatrice reached for it. Her bandaged hand fumbled. The handkerchief fell again. The gentleman caught it before it hit the ground. He looked at her hand. "You are injured." "It is nothing, sir." Beatrice took the handkerchief quickly. "Thank you for your kindness." She curtsied and turned to leave. She felt his eyes on her back as she walked away. Her heart beat strangely in her chest. No gentleman had spoken to her in months. No one even looked at her anymore. She hurried home. Lady Thornwell was waiting in the hall. "You took too long," Lady Thornwell snapped. "Give me the basket." And the remaining coins. Beatrice handed everything over. Lady Thornwell counted the coins twice. She frowned but said nothing. Beatrice had spent exactly what she should have. "Go to your room," Lady Thornwell said. "Victoria and Penelope need their dresses pressed. The ball is tomorrow night." "Yes, mother," Beatrice said. Her room was small and cold. It was in the servants' quarters at the top of the house. Once, she had slept in a beautiful bedroom on the second floor, but Lady Thornwell had given that room to Penelope. Beatrice did not complain. Complaints only made things worse. She pressed the ball gowns carefully. Victoria's was blue silk with pearls. Penelope's was pink with lace. Both were beautiful. Both cost more than Beatrice's entire wardrobe. That night, Beatrice ate dinner in the kitchen. Lady Thornwell did not allow her at the family table anymore. She said Beatrice was not fit to dine with proper ladies. Mrs. Davies saved her the best portions. It was a small rebellion, a small kindness that kept Beatrice's heart from breaking completely. Across London, in a grand townhouse, Alexander Blackwood sat alone in his study. He was the Duke of Harrington. He was 30 years old. He was one of the richest men in England. He was completely miserable. His study was filled with books, leather chairs, a fire burning in the hearth. Everything a man could want. But Alexander felt nothing but emptiness. He had felt this way for 3 years, ever since his wife died. Margaret had been the perfect duchess, beautiful, accomplished, well-bred. Their marriage had been arranged by their families. It was a good match, a proper match. But it was not a love match. Margaret died giving birth to their stillborn son. Alexander lost them both in one terrible night. He mourned them. He wore black for 2 years. He withdrew from society. But his grief was different than people thought. He mourned what could have been. He mourned the love he never felt, the connection he never found. Now, everyone told him it was time to marry again. His mother came to London just to tell him so. His friends spoke of eligible ladies. His duty required an heir. He knew they were right. But the thought of another cold marriage made him want to disappear. He needed something to occupy his mind, something to chase away the endless, empty days. He decided to ride through London each morning. Fresh air might help. Movement might help. Anything was better than sitting in this tomb of a house. The next morning, Alexander rode his horse through the streets at dawn. The city was quiet, peaceful. He passed the market square. A young woman stood by the fountain. She was watching the water. Her face was sad. Something about her stillness caught his attention. She wore a plain dress. Her hair was simple brown. Nothing remarkable. But her expression held something he recognized. Loneliness. Deep, aching loneliness. Then she turned and saw him. Her eyes were green. Bright green, like new leaves. They were the most alive thing he had seen in years. His heart did a strange thing in his chest. It beat harder. Faster. She looked away quickly. She clutched her basket and hurried off. Alexander wanted to call after her, but he did not know what to say. He did not even know her name. That night, he could not stop thinking about those green eyes. They haunted him through dinner, through his evening brandy, through the long, sleepless night. He told himself he was being foolish. She was nobody. A market woman, a servant perhaps. But his heart did not care about logic. His heart wanted to see those eyes again. The next morning, Alexander rode to the market square again. He told himself he was simply taking his morning ride. The route meant nothing, but his heart beat faster as he approached the fountain. She was there. The same woman. The same sad expression. She was buying vegetables from a cart. Her movements were graceful, despite the humble work. Alexander dismounted. He walked closer. He needed to see her properly, to understand why she affected him so strangely. As he approached, she picked up a handkerchief that had fallen from her pocket, but her bandaged hand fumbled. The cloth dropped again. This was his chance. Alexander stepped forward. "Excuse me, miss." She turned. Those green eyes met his. Surprise crossed her face, and something else. Fear, perhaps, or shame. "You dropped this," Alexander said. He picked up the handkerchief and held it out. "Oh." Her voice was soft, sweet. She reached for it, but her injured hand could not grasp it properly. The handkerchief fell once more. Alexander caught it quickly. He looked at her wrapped hand. "You are injured." "It is nothing, sir." She took the handkerchief with her good hand. "Thank you for your kindness." She curtsied and tried to leave. Alexander should have let her go, but something made him speak again. "Please, allow me to help you carry your basket," he said. "Your hand is hurt." "No, sir." Her voice was firm despite its softness. "I cannot. It would not be proper." "Then at least tell me your name," Alexander said. She hesitated. Her eyes searched his face. "Beatrice Thornwell, sir." Thornwell. Alexander knew that name. "Of the Hampshire Thornwells?" "My father was Lord Thornwell," Beatrice said quietly. "But he is dead now." "I must go, sir. Good day." She walked away quickly. Alexander watched her go. Lord Thornwell. He remembered hearing about the scandal, debts, financial ruin, and the Lord had left a daughter behind. This must be her. Alexander could not explain the pull he felt. It was magnetic, undeniable. He needed to see her again, to speak with her again. So he did something he had never done before, something completely mad. He decided to learn her routine, to discover where she went, when she went there, so he could arrange to meet her. Accidentally, of course. He felt like a fool, like a schoolboy, but he did not stop. The next morning he waited near the market. He watched from a distance as Beatrice arrived. She went to the vegetable cart first, then the baker. Then she stood by the fountain for exactly 5 minutes before returning home. The morning after, Alexander timed his arrival. He rode up just as Beatrice finished at the baker's stall. He pretended to be surprised. "Miss Thornwell," he said, tipping his hat. "What a pleasant coincidence." Beatrice looked startled. "Your Grace." She curtsied deeply. So she knew who he was. Alexander felt oddly disappointed. Now she would treat him like a duke instead of a man. "How is your hand?" he asked. "It is healing, Your Grace. Thank you for asking." "I am glad to hear it." Alexander paused. He did not know what else to say. "The weather is fine today." "Yes, Your Grace." An awkward silence fell between them. Beatrice clutched her basket. She looked like she wanted to run. Alexander searched for something to keep her there. Just a moment longer. "Do you come to the market often?" he asked. "Every morning, Your Grace. I do the shopping for our household." Every morning. Alexander's heart leapt. He could see her every morning. "Then perhaps we shall meet again," he said. "Perhaps, Your Grace." Beatrice curtsied again. "Good day." She left. But this time Alexander saw something new in her eyes. Curiosity. She was wondering why a duke was speaking to her, why he was being kind. He wanted to tell her, but he did not understand it himself. For the next 2 weeks, Alexander arranged to be at the market every morning. He memorized Beatrice's schedule perfectly. He knew she arrived at 8 o'clock. She went to the vegetable cart at 10 past 8, the baker at quarter past, the butcher at 20 past. Then, 5 minutes by the fountain before she went home. He began appearing at each spot. Just as she arrived, he would greet her. They would speak a few words. Nothing deep, nothing important. But those few minutes became the best part of Alexander's day. "Good morning, Miss Thornwell." "Good morning, Your Grace." "The roses are blooming in Hyde Park. How lovely, Your Grace. I saw a robin this morning, the first of spring." "Spring is my favorite season, Your Grace." Tiny pieces of conversation, little glimpses into her heart. Alexander treasured each one. He learned that she loved flowers. She missed the countryside. She read books borrowed from a lending library. She hummed while she walked. Beatrice began to relax around him. Her fear faded. She smiled sometimes. Small smiles that made Alexander's chest feel warm. He lived for those smiles. One morning it rained. Alexander stood under an awning near the baker's stall. He wore a greatcoat against the weather. He waited. Beatrice appeared at her usual time. She had no umbrella. Rain soaked her dress and hair. "Miss Thornwell." Alexander stepped forward. He removed his coat. "Please, take this." "I cannot, Your Grace." Beatrice shook her head. Water dripped from her hair. "It is too fine." "You will catch your death of cold," Alexander said firmly. He draped the coat over her shoulders before she could protest. It swallowed her small frame. She looked up at him. Rain dripped from her lashes. Her green eyes were wide with surprise. "Thank you," she whispered. Something passed between them in that moment. Something unspoken but powerful. Alexander felt it in his bones. His heart beat so hard he thought she must hear it. "Let me walk you home," he said. "People will talk, Your Grace. Let them." They walked through the rain together. Alexander held his hat over her head. It did little good. They were both soaked by the time they reached her street. Beatrice stopped before they reached her house. "I must go alone from here," she said. "My stepmother would not understand." "Your stepmother?" Alexander frowned. "The current Lady Thornwell?" "Yes, Your Grace. She married my father 4 years ago. She has been kind enough to let me stay after his death." Kind enough. The words sounded false. Alexander saw shadows in Beatrice's eyes. Shadows that spoke of unkindness, of cruelty, perhaps. "Are you happy there?" he asked quietly. Beatrice looked away. "I have a roof over my head and food to eat, Your Grace. That is enough." It was not enough. Alexander knew that suddenly and completely. This woman deserved so much more, and he wanted to give it to her. He wanted to give her everything. But he was a duke. She was the penniless daughter of a ruined lord. Society would never accept such a match. His mother would be horrified. His friends would think him mad. Alexander did not care. For the first time in 3 years, he felt something real, something true. He would not let it go. "Miss Thornwell," he said carefully, "I would like to call upon you. Properly." Beatrice's eyes flew to his face. "Your Grace, I do not think—" "Please, allow me to speak with your stepmother, to ask her permission." "She will refuse." Beatrice's voice was sad. "I am not suitable for a duke's attention. She will think you are mocking us." "I am not mocking anyone." Alexander stepped closer. "I am completely sincere." Beatrice searched his face. Whatever she saw there made her tremble. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you want to call on me?" "Because," Alexander said honestly, "I have not felt this alive in 3 years. Because I see you, and something in my chest wakes up. Because I want to know everything about you. Every thought, every dream, every fear. I want to hear your voice every day for the rest of my life. The words poured out. Alexander could not stop them. He laid his heart bare in the rain. Beatrice stared at him, tears mixed with raindrops on her cheeks. "I am nobody," she said. "I have nothing, no dowry, no connections. I am not even pretty." "You are beautiful," Alexander said fiercely. "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." Beatrice shook her head, but she did not argue. She was crying properly now. Alexander gently wiped a tear from her cheek. "Give me a chance," he said softly. "Please, Beatrice." It was the first time he used her given name. It felt right on his tongue, natural, like he had been saying it forever. "What if she says no?" Beatrice asked. "What if she sends you away?" "Then I will find another way," Alexander promised. "I always find a way." Beatrice bit her lip. Hope and fear warred in her eyes. Finally, she nodded. "You may call tomorrow afternoon. At 2 o'clock. I will be there." Alexander smiled. It was the first real smile he had given in years. Beatrice handed back his coat. She curtsied one last time. Then she ran toward her house. Alexander watched until she disappeared inside. His heart was racing. His hands were shaking. He felt like he had just won a battle, or perhaps started one. Tomorrow, he would face Lady Thornwell. He would ask for permission to court Beatrice. And if Lady Thornwell refused, he would find another way. He meant what he said. He always found a way. That night, Alexander could not sleep. He planned what he would say. How he would convince Lady Thornwell that his intentions were honorable, that his interest was genuine. He rehearsed speeches in his mind, discarded them, tried again. Nothing felt right. How could words explain this pull he felt? This certainty that Beatrice was meant to be his. It was beyond logic, beyond reason. It simply was. At the Thornwell house, Beatrice barely slept either. She knew what would happen when the Duke arrived. Lady Thornwell would be cruel. She would humiliate them both. She would say terrible things. Beatrice wanted to send word to Alexander not to come, to save himself the embarrassment. But she did not, because a small part of her hoped that maybe, somehow, this would work. That maybe someone as powerful as the Duke of Harrington could stand up to Lady Thornwell. That maybe, for once in her miserable life, something good would happen. At 2 o'clock the next day, Alexander arrived at the Thornwell house. He wore his finest clothes, his ducal seal on his signet ring. He looked every inch the powerful nobleman he was. The butler showed him into the drawing room. Lady Thornwell sat on the sofa. Victoria and Penelope sat on either side of her. All three women wore their best gowns. They had clearly prepared for this visit. Lady Thornwell's smile was calculating. "Your Grace," Lady Thornwell said warmly. "What an unexpected honor." "Lady Thornwell," Alexander bowed. "Thank you for receiving me." Of course. Please, sit. We are delighted to have you here. May I present my daughters? This is Miss Victoria Thornwell and Miss Penelope Thornwell." The two girls simpered and curtsied. They were pretty in a common way, all powder and rouge, nothing like Beatrice's natural beauty. "Charmed," Alexander said politely. He did not sit. "Lady Thornwell, I have come to speak with you about your stepdaughter, Miss Beatrice Thornwell." Lady Thornwell's smile froze. "Beatrice?" "Yes. I wish to ask your permission to court her." Silence fell over the room. Victoria and Penelope gasped. Lady Thornwell's face turned red, then white, then red again. "Surely you jest, Your Grace," Lady Thornwell said finally. Her voice was strained. "I do not jest." Alexander kept his tone firm. "I am quite serious." But Beatrice is—" Lady Thornwell floundered. "She is not suitable for a duke. She has no dowry, no prospects. She is plain and dull. Surely you cannot mean to court her when my daughters are right here. Either Victoria or Penelope would make you an excellent wife." "I am sure they would make someone an excellent wife," Alexander said coolly. "But I am not asking to court them. I am asking to court Beatrice." Lady Thornwell stood. Her face was ugly with anger now. "This is ridiculous. Are you mocking us, Your Grace? Is this some kind of cruel joke?" "It is no joke." Alexander's voice was ice. "I am offering your stepdaughter the protection of my name and the honor of my courtship. Most guardians would be grateful." "Grateful?" Lady Thornwell laughed harshly. "For what? Beatrice is nothing. She is a burden I have borne out of Christian charity. I will not have you making a fool of her, or of this family." "The only fool here is you," Alexander said quietly. The words fell like stones. "If you cannot see Beatrice's worth, then you are blind. Now, will you give me permission to court her, or must I find another way?" "Another way?" Lady Thornwell's eyes narrowed. "What other way?" Alexander smiled. It was not a kind smile. "I am the Duke of Harrington, madam. I have more power and wealth than you can imagine. If you refuse me, I can make your life very difficult. Your creditors, for instance. I understand your late husband left substantial debts. Debts that are still outstanding." Lady Thornwell went pale. "You would not dare." "Try me." Alexander's voice was soft, dangerous. "Give me permission to court Beatrice, or I will call in every debt your family owes. I will see you all turned out onto the street. You will have nothing, not even Christian charity to sustain you." It was a bluff. Mostly. Alexander did have the power to do what he threatened, but he would not actually do it. Probably. Unless Lady Thornwell pushed him too far. Lady Thornwell saw the truth in his eyes, the determination. She realized this was not a man who made idle threats. She sank back onto the sofa. "Very well," she said bitterly. "You may court Beatrice, but when you tire of her, do not come crying to me. I warned you." "I will not tire of her," Alexander bowed. "Thank you for your permission, Lady Thornwell. I will call on Miss Beatrice tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Please inform her." He left before Lady Thornwell could respond. His heart was pounding. He had done it. He had won the first battle. Now came the hard part. Convincing Beatrice that this was real, that he truly wanted her, that she was worthy of being loved. The next afternoon, Beatrice waited in the drawing room. Lady Thornwell had told her about the Duke's visit, about his threats, about the arrangement. Beatrice was horrified, and confused, and terrified. "He is using you," Lady Thornwell had said venomously. "He wants to make a fool of you. Or perhaps he thinks you will be an easy conquest, a desperate girl with no prospects. Do not believe his pretty words, Beatrice. Men like him do not marry women like you." Beatrice believed her. Why would she not? She had been told she was worthless for so long. It made sense that the Duke's interest was false, a game, a cruel entertainment for a bored nobleman. But when Alexander arrived and entered the drawing room, Beatrice saw his face, saw the warmth in his gray eyes, the genuine smile. And something in her chest whispered that maybe Lady Thornwell was wrong. Maybe this was real. "Miss Thornwell," Alexander bowed deeply. "Thank you for seeing me." Your Grace, Beatrice curtsied. Her hands shook. I must thank you for your interest, but I do not understand why. May we speak privately? Alexander interrupted gently. Perhaps a walk in the garden? With your maid as chaperone, of course. Beatrice nodded. She fetched her shawl and bonnet. Annie, the young maid, followed them outside. The Thornwell garden was small, neglected, but a few spring flowers had pushed through the weeds. Beatrice led Alexander to a stone bench beneath an old oak tree. They sat. Annie waited a respectful distance away. Alexander turned to face Beatrice. He took a deep breath. I know you do not understand, he said quietly. I know this seems strange, impossible even. But I want you to know something. Everything I said yesterday in the rain was true, every word. But why me? Beatrice whispered. I am nobody, Your Grace. There are hundreds of beautiful, wealthy women who would gladly marry you. Why would you want me? Because, Alexander said simply, you make me feel alive. When I see you, my heart remembers how to beat. When you smile, the world seems brighter. I have been dead inside for 3 years, Beatrice. Dead and cold and empty. But then I saw you by that fountain, and something in me woke up. I cannot explain it better than that. I only know that I need to be near you, to know you, to see if this feeling will grow into something more. Beatrice stared at him. Tears filled her eyes. You truly mean it? I truly mean it. Alexander reached out slowly. He took her hand in his. His thumb brushed over her bandaged palm. Tell me how you hurt yourself. I dropped a teacup, Beatrice said softly. I was clumsy. My stepmother was angry. I cut my hand on the broken pieces. Alexander's jaw tightened. Does she hurt you often? Not physically. Beatrice looked down at their joined hands. She is simply unkind. She tells me I am worthless, that I am a burden, that I should be grateful for the scraps she throws me. Sometimes I believe her. She is wrong. Alexander's voice was fierce. You are not worthless. You are precious. You are worth more than all the jewels in England. A tear slipped down Beatrice's cheek. Why are you saying these things? No one has ever spoken to me this way. Then everyone else is a fool. Alexander gently wiped away her tear. Beatrice, I want to court you properly. I want to take you for drives in the park. I want to send you flowers. I want to sit with you and talk about everything and nothing. I want to learn who you are beneath the pain your stepmother has caused. Will you let me? Beatrice wanted to say yes, but fear held her back. What if this is a mistake? What if you realize I am not worth your time? That will not happen. Alexander squeezed her hand. But if you need time to trust me, I will wait. I will court you for as long as it takes. A month, a year, 10 years, however long you need. Beatrice laughed through her tears. 10 years? If that is what you require, Alexander smiled. I am a patient man when something matters. And you matter, Beatrice. You matter very much. Something broke open in Beatrice's chest. Something that had been locked away for years. Hope. Pure, fragile hope. She nodded slowly. Yes, she whispered. Yes, you may court me. Alexander's smile was brilliant. Thank you. You will not regret this, I promise. They sat in the garden for an hour. They talked about simple things, books they had read, places they had traveled, childhood memories. Beatrice found herself relaxing, laughing even. Alexander made her feel safe, valued. It was a strange, wonderful feeling. I tried to protect my heart. But I cannot help it. I love you, Alexander. It was the first time she used his given name. It felt sacred, special. Alexander closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they shone with emotion. Beatrice. Her name was a prayer on his lips. I am already lost in you. I have been lost since the moment I saw you by that fountain. I love you. I love you more than I have ever loved anyone. He pulled her close, his arms wrapped around her. Beatrice pressed her face against his chest. She heard his heart beating, strong and sure. She felt safe, cherished, loved. They stood like that for a long time. The world fell away. There was only them, only this moment. Only this love that had grown from chance meetings and whispered conversations. Finally, Alexander pulled back. He looked at her with such tenderness that Beatrice's breath caught. Slowly, carefully, he lowered his head. His lips met hers in a gentle kiss. It was sweet, soft, perfect. When they parted, both were breathing hard. Beatrice felt dizzy. Alexander rested his forehead against hers. "Marry me," he said. "Please, Beatrice, be my wife. Let me spend the rest of my life making you happy. Let me show you every day how precious you are." Beatrice could hardly believe her ears. "Truly? You want to marry me?" "More than I have ever wanted anything." Alexander cupped her face in his hands. "Say yes. Please, say yes." "Yes." The word came out as a sob. "Yes, I will marry you. Yes, yes, yes." Alexander kissed her again, deeper this time, more desperate, like he needed her to breathe. Beatrice clung to him. She poured all her love, all her hope, all her gratitude into that kiss. When they finally broke apart, both were crying, happy tears, healing tears. They held each other and laughed and cried and kissed some more. The garden around them seemed to glow with their joy. "I will get you a ring," Alexander said. "The finest ring in London. And we will have a proper wedding. Whatever you want, however you want it." "I do not need a fancy wedding," Beatrice said. "I just need you." "You will have both." Alexander kissed her forehead. "You will have everything, my love. I promise." They told his mother that evening. The Dowager Duchess of Harrington was a formidable woman, tall and elegant, with sharp eyes. She listened to Alexander's announcement without expression. "You wish to marry the penniless daughter of a ruined lord," she said flatly. "I wish to marry the woman I love," Alexander corrected. "And I hope you will give us your blessing, mother. But I will marry her regardless." The dowager studied Beatrice. Her gaze was penetrating. Beatrice forced herself to meet those eyes. She would not cower, not anymore. If Alexander's mother could not accept her, so be it. But she would not apologize for existing. After a long moment, the dowager smiled. "Good. You have spine. You will need it to be a duchess." She turned to Alexander. "I approve. She is nothing like Margaret. That is a good thing. Margaret was cold. This girl has fire in her eyes. Hidden fire, but fire nonetheless. She will make you happy, Alexander. That is all I have ever wanted for you." Relief flooded through Alexander. He hugged his mother. Beatrice watched with tears in her eyes. She had a family now, a real family. People who cared for her. It was more than she had ever dreamed possible. The engagement was announced in the papers. London society exploded with gossip. A duke marrying a nobody. It was scandalous, shocking, delicious. Everyone had an opinion. Most were unkind. At the Thornwell house, Victoria and Penelope were beside themselves with jealousy. How had plain, boring Beatrice snared a duke? It made no sense. It was not fair. Lady Thornwell was even more furious. She had tried to push her own daughters toward the duke, but he had chosen Beatrice instead. The humiliation was unbearable. She began plotting revenge. One evening, a week before the wedding, a man came to call at the Thornwell house. His name was Mr. Edmund Grey. He was a distant cousin of Lord Thornwell. He had gambling debts, lots of them, and he had heard about Beatrice's engagement. "I have a proposal," Mr. Grey said to Lady Thornwell. "One that will benefit us both." "I am listening," Lady Thornwell said coldly. Mr. Grey smiled. It was not a nice smile. "The Duke has grown attached to Beatrice. He would pay handsomely to ensure her happiness and her safety." "You want to blackmail him?" "I prefer the term financial negotiation." Mr. Grey leaned back in his chair. "All we need is leverage, something to make him pay. What does the Duke value most?" "Beatrice," Lady Thornwell said slowly. "He values Beatrice." "Exactly." Mr. Grey's smile widened. "So we take her, hold her for a few days, demand money for her safe return. The Duke pays. We release her. Everyone wins." "Except Beatrice," Lady Thornwell frowned. "She would be ruined. No wedding, no future." "She ruined herself by reaching above her station," Mr. Grey said dismissively. "Besides, do you care what happens to her? I thought you hated the girl." Lady Thornwell did hate Beatrice. She hated her for winning what Victoria and Penelope could not. She hated her for being Lord Thornwell's daughter. She hated her for existing. But kidnapping? That was a step too far, wasn't it? "How much money?" Lady Thornwell asked. £10,000. Mr. Grey's eyes gleamed with greed. "5 for me, 5 for you. Enough to pay your debts and mine. All for a few days of inconvenience." Lady Thornwell thought about it. £10,000. She could finally be free of the creditors, free of the shame. And Beatrice would get what she deserved. A lesson in humility. "Very well," Lady Thornwell said. "But you must be careful. The Duke is powerful. If he learns we were involved, he will destroy us." "He will never know." Mr. Grey stood. "I will take care of everything. Just make sure Beatrice is alone tomorrow evening. I will handle the rest." The next day, Lady Thornwell sent Beatrice on an errand. She needed to collect the wedding invitations from the printer. It was across town. She would have to walk. Lady Thornwell made sure no maid accompanied her. Beatrice went alone. It was growing dark when Beatrice left the printer's shop. The streets were emptying. She clutched the box of invitations and hurried toward home. She did not see the men following her. Not until it was too late. They grabbed her in an alley. One covered her mouth, another tied her hands. She tried to scream, to fight, but they were too strong. They threw her into a carriage. It raced away into the night. Beatrice was terrified. Her heart pounded. Her hands ached against the ropes. Where were they taking her? What did they want? She thought of Alexander, of the wedding, of her happiness slipping away. The carriage stopped at an old warehouse by the river. The men dragged Beatrice inside. They locked her in a cold, empty room. Mr. Grey appeared in the doorway. "Hello, cousin," he said mockingly. "I hope you are comfortable. You will be here for a few days, until your dear Duke pays for your release." "He will find me," Beatrice said. Her voice shook, but her eyes were fierce. "And when he does, you will pay." "Perhaps," Mr. Grey shrugged. "But by then, I will be very rich, and you will be very ruined. A kidnapped bride. Society will never accept you. The Duke may even change his mind about the wedding. Who wants damaged goods?" He left, locked the door behind him. Beatrice was alone in the dark. She sank to the floor. Tears streamed down her face. Not because she was scared, but because Mr. Gray might be right. Even if Alexander found her, the scandal might be too much. He might decide she was not worth the trouble. She might lose him after all. At the Harrington townhouse, Alexander waited for Beatrice to arrive for dinner. She was late. Very late. He began to worry. He sent a footman to the Thornwell house. The footman returned with troubling news. "Miss Thornwell left to collect invitations this afternoon, Your Grace," the footman said. "She has not returned. Lady Thornwell seems unconcerned. She says the girl probably stopped at the lending library. Alexander knew Beatrice would never be this late without sending word." Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. He grabbed his coat and headed for the door. His secretary stopped him. "Your Grace, this arrived an hour ago." The secretary handed him a sealed letter. A boy brought it. He said it was urgent. Alexander tore open the letter. His blood ran cold as he read the words. "We have Miss Thornwell. If you want her returned safely, bring £10,000 to the old Morrison warehouse by the river. Come alone. Tell no one. You have until midnight." Rage flooded through Alexander. Someone had taken Beatrice, kidnapped her, threatened her. He would kill them, slowly. But first he would get her back. He could bring the money. That was no problem. He had far more than £10,000. But he would not go alone. He was not a fool. He called for his steward and his most trusted guards. They would come with him, hidden, ready to fight if needed. Alexander also sent word to the magistrate. Kidnapping was a crime. The people responsible would hang. He would make sure of it. He gathered the money. He checked his pistol. Then he climbed into his carriage and headed for the warehouse. The journey felt endless. Alexander's heart pounded with fear and fury. If they hurt Beatrice, he would burn the world down. Nothing would stop him. Nothing would save them. At the warehouse, Alexander stepped out of the carriage. He carried a bag of coins. The building was dark, silent. A man emerged from the shadows. "Mr. Gray." "Your Grace." Mr. Gray bowed mockingly. "You came. How noble." "Where is she?" Alexander's voice was deadly calm. "Where is Beatrice?" "Safe. For now." Mr. Gray gestured to the bag. "Is that the money?" "Yes. Now take me to her." "Money first." Mr. Gray held out his hand. Alexander threw the bag at his feet. "There. Now give me Beatrice or I will tear this place apart." Mr. Gray picked up the bag. He checked the coins. Satisfied, he nodded. "Follow me." He led Alexander into the warehouse, to the locked room. He opened the door. Beatrice sat on the floor. Her hands were tied. Her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes blazed with fury. "Alexander!" Her voice broke. Alexander rushed forward. He knelt beside her. He untied her hands. He pulled her into his arms. She clung to him and sobbed. Relief and fear poured out of her. Alexander held her tight. He buried his face in her hair. "I have you," he whispered. "You are safe. I have you." Behind them, Mr. Gray made a mistake. He tried to run, but Alexander's guards had surrounded the warehouse. They caught him before he reached the door. The magistrate arrived. Mr. Gray was arrested. He shouted and cursed, but no one listened. He would hang for this. Everyone knew it. Alexander carried Beatrice to the carriage. He wrapped her in his coat. She was shaking, not from cold, from shock. He held her close as the carriage rolled toward his townhouse. "I was so scared," Beatrice whispered. "Not for me, for us. I thought this would ruin everything, that you would not want me anymore." "Never." Alexander's voice was fierce. He tilted her face up. "Listen to me, Beatrice. Nothing could make me stop wanting you. Not scandal, not gossip, not anything. You are mine, and I am yours, forever. Do you understand?" "Yes." Beatrice nodded. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I love you. I love you. Alexander kissed her gently. And tomorrow, I am applying for a special license. We are not waiting for a big wedding. I want you as my wife now, tonight if possible. Beatrice laughed through her tears. Tonight might be too soon. Then tomorrow, Alexander smiled. Say you will marry me tomorrow, please. Yes. Beatrice touched his face. Yes, I will marry you tomorrow. That night, Alexander's mother took Beatrice in. She gave her a warm bath, clean clothes, a soft bed. She sat with her while she cried out the fear and trauma. She held her like a daughter, like family. You are safe now, the dowager said. No one will hurt you again. You are a Blackwood now, and we protect our own. Beatrice slept deeply for the first time in years. When she woke, sunlight streamed through the windows. It was her wedding day. Alexander obtained a special license from the Archbishop. They would marry that afternoon in the private chapel at the Harrington estate. No big ceremony, no society gossip. Just them, their family, their love. Beatrice wore a simple white gown. The Dowager Duchess lent her a pearl necklace. It had been in the Blackwood family for generations. Beatrice's hands shook as she fastened it around her neck. She looked at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked happy, beautiful, whole. The chapel was small but lovely. Candles flickered on the altar. Spring flowers filled every corner. Alexander stood waiting at the front. He wore his finest clothes, but his eyes were only for Beatrice. She walked down the aisle alone. She had no father to give her away, but she did not need one. She walked toward her future, toward love, toward Alexander, and that was enough. When she reached him, Alexander took her hands. His eyes were wet with tears. You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, he whispered. The vicar began the ceremony. Beatrice barely heard the words. She was lost in Alexander's eyes, in the love she saw there, the complete acceptance, the devotion. This man loved her, truly, deeply, forever loved her, and she loved him the same way. I do, she said when the vicar asked. I do, Alexander said. His voice was strong, certain. The vicar pronounced them man and wife. Alexander pulled Beatrice close. He kissed her like she was air and he was drowning. Beatrice kissed him back with everything she had. When they broke apart, both were crying. Happy tears, healing tears. The Dowager Duchess hugged them both. A small group of Alexander's closest friends cheered. It was not a grand society wedding, but it was perfect. It was theirs. That evening, they had a small dinner at the townhouse, just family and close friends. Beatrice sat beside Alexander. His hand never left hers. He looked at her like she was the only person in the world, like she was his entire world, and she was. Later, Alexander took Beatrice to the library. He poured 2 glasses of wine. They sat together on the sofa before the fire. The room was warm, quiet, peaceful. I have something for you, Alexander said. He pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring, a simple gold band with a green emerald. I had it made. The emerald matches your eyes, the eyes that brought me back to life. Beatrice's tears fell again. She seemed to cry all the time now, but they were happy tears, healing tears. It is perfect. You are perfect. I am far from perfect. Alexander slid the ring onto her finger. But I promise to love you perfectly, every day, for the rest of our lives. I promise the same. Beatrice kissed him, soft and sweet. They sat together by the fire, talking, laughing, planning their future. Alexander told her about his country estate, rolling green hills, a garden where she could grow whatever she wanted, a library with thousands of books. It sounded like heaven. "I want to fill it with love," Beatrice said softly, "with children, with laughter, with all the warmth I never had growing up." "We will," Alexander pulled her close. "We will make it the happiest home in England. I promise you that." In the following weeks, the gossip about their sudden marriage died down. Society accepted Beatrice as the new Duchess of Harrington. Some were kind, some were not. Beatrice did not care. She had Alexander. She had love. Nothing else mattered. They left London for the country estate. It was exactly as Alexander described. Beautiful, peaceful, perfect. Beatrice spent her days in the garden. She planted roses. She read in the library. She walked through the fields with Alexander. She was happy, truly, deeply happy. One afternoon, months after their wedding, Beatrice stood in the garden. She placed her hand on her stomach. A secret smile crossed her face. She had suspected for weeks. Now she was certain. She was carrying Alexander's child. She found him in the stables. He was brushing his horse. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. That smile still made her heart race. "Alexander," she said softly, "I have news." He put down the brush. Concern filled his eyes. "What is it? Are you well?" "I am very well." Beatrice took his hands. She placed them on her stomach. "We are going to have a baby." Alexander froze. His eyes went wide, then filled with tears. "Truly?" "Truly," Beatrice smiled. "Are you happy?" "Happy?" Alexander's voice broke. He pulled her into his arms. "I am beyond happy. I am blessed. I am complete. You have given me everything, Beatrice. Everything I ever wanted, and more." He kissed her, deep and passionate. When they pulled apart, both were crying. Again. They seemed to do that a lot. But it was good crying, healing crying. The kind of crying that came from too much joy. That evening they sat together in their favorite spot, the library, before the fire. Alexander's hand rested on Beatrice's stomach. He talked to the baby, told it stories, made promises. Beatrice listened and smiled. Her heart was so full she thought it might burst. "Do you remember the day we met?" Alexander asked. "By the fountain?" "I remember." Beatrice leaned against his shoulder. "I thought you were just being kind to a sad, plain girl." "You were never plain." Alexander kissed her hair. "You were beautiful. You are beautiful." "And I was not being kind. I was being desperate. Desperate to know you, to be near you. I started memorizing your routine just so I could accidentally meet you everywhere, like a lovesick fool." Beatrice laughed. "You memorized my routine?" "Every detail," Alexander smiled. "I knew you went to the vegetable cart at 8:10, the baker at 8:15, the butcher at 8:20. You stood by the fountain for exactly 5 minutes. I arranged to be there every time. I could not help myself. I needed to see you." "I am glad you did." Beatrice turned to look at him. "You saved me, Alexander. You gave me everything." "No," Alexander cupped her face. "You saved me. You brought me back to life. You taught me how to feel again, how to love again. You are my everything, Beatrice. My wife, my love, my heart, my home." They kissed, soft and lingering. The fire crackled beside them. Outside snow began to fall, but inside they were warm, safe, loved. They had found each other in the darkness, and together they had created light. Years later, the library would be filled with children's laughter. The garden would bloom with roses. The country estate would be known as the happiest house in England. And at the center of it all would be Alexander and Beatrice, still holding hands, still looking at each other like they were the only people in the world. Because sometimes love does conquer all. Sometimes a chance meeting by a fountain changes everything. Sometimes a duke falls in love with a girl everyone else overlooked. And sometimes, two broken people find each other and become whole. This was their story, their love, their triumph. And it was only the beginning. The best was yet to come. Together they would face every joy and every sorrow. Together they would build a life worth living. Together, they would prove that true love really does exist. And every morning for the rest of their lives, Alexander would wake up and look at Beatrice sleeping beside him. He would remember that day by the fountain, the day he first saw green eyes full of sadness, the day he decided to learn her routine just to meet her accidentally, the day his life began again. He would smile, he would kiss her forehead, and he would whisper the same words he said every morning. "Thank you for saving me." And Beatrice, still half asleep, would smile and whisper back, "Thank you for finding me." That was their forever. That was their always. That was their love story. And it was perfect.